Welcome to the Money Over 50 podcast, brought to you by Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue from Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. This information is general in nature and does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Therefore, you should consider whether the information is appropriate for you and your personal circumstances. If you require personal advice, please contact Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. Here are your hosts, Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue.
Welcome to Money Over 50 with Dallas and Michael.
Michael, today we're here to talk about intermediary monkeys.
Oh my God.
I purposely haven't told you the title of this podcast because we've discussed it at great length. Now, let me start by explaining a concept. Now, this may well be an old wives' tale or an urban myth that I've read about years ago, but the concept is if you put 5 monkeys in a basement and you open the door and every time one of them goes to climb up the stairs to get out of the basement, you open the door and you hose them all down with cold water. Apparently what will happen very quickly is that anytime one of the monkeys goes to go up the stairs, the other monkeys will grab it and beat the crap out of it and stop them going on the stairs because it doesn't know why, but it knows that if a monkey goes on those stairs, I get hit with cold water. I don't like that, so I'm going to stop you doing it. Now, that all sort of makes sense. What gets really interesting is that the theory is that if you take one of the monkeys out of there that has been hosed with cold water, you can add in a new monkey, and the first thing the new monkey does is goes to climb up the stairs, and the other 4 monkeys beat the crap out of it. Mm-hmm. And so this monkey learns, geez, I don't know what's going on with those stairs, but the lesson here is don't touch the stairs. If you touch the stairs, you'll get the crap beaten out of you. Now, interestingly, the theory is that you can actually replace all of the original monkeys over time with new monkeys, and every time you put in a new one, the other ones will still beat the crap out of it every time it tries to go up the stairs. So where you end up with is 5 monkeys in a basement that anytime one of them goes near the stairs, the other ones will beat the crap out of it, but none of them has any idea why they're doing that. They have never been hit with cold water. They have no concept of why the stairs are an inherently bad thing, why they should be beating each other when they go near them. But apparently they will just do that sustainably. So now, again, I might be completely making this up. If there's someone who's listening to this that's an animal researcher, they'll probably go, that's an old wives' tale, that's an urban myth, that never happened.
It's a great story.
It's a great story, yeah. And the reason we call it the intermediary monkeys is that Michael and I were actually at a bar in New York once. We were going to a conference, so we were having
see the great Nick Murray. We were going to see the great Nick Murray.
We were
in a conference,
sitting at a hotel bar the night before, just having a beer before bed, and we got talking to this. I think he was a Canadian guy,
yeah.
Sitting next to us, and something came up about this. About something of people reacting to stimulus that isn't actually there, and I'd say, yeah, it's like the
you told him the monkey story.
The monkey story,
the same story that you just told, and poor suffering listeners,
the poor suffering listeners that went on for a long time, and this guy was very polite, so he sit there and listen very nicely, and then after all, he goes, "Do you mean to tell me there's all these intermediary monkeys just wailing on each other in a basement somewhere?" And then we laughed.
We got a great laugh out of that.
We thought, and it's a great racehorse name. If anyone out there is looking for a name to name your racehorse, Intermediary Monkey is one that we think would be a cracker. But the concept, after 2 minutes of long and drawn out introduction to this, is my theory here is that there are many situations in our lives where we're responding to a stimulus that isn't there anymore. So I'll give you an example of one. Is interest rates. So people approaching retirement, and we've banged on about this in great detail in a lot of other podcasts, where people approaching retirement go, I need a lot of money in cash and term deposits. That's the asset that I need in retirement. I need cash, I need term deposits, and I need to build it up. Now, if you said to that person, hang on, term deposits returning about 0.5%, and bonds returning 1%, and cash in the bank is returning about 0.1%. Why you got all that cash? I guarantee you that no one would actually know why they don't know why they're hoarding cash. They don't know why that's happening. It's just a thing that they're responding to a stimulus that used to be there. And what I mean by that is 30, 40, 50 years ago, when you were approaching retirement, you retired at 65, you immediately got some Centrelink age pension for most people. You needed a little bit of cash in the bank because the cash in the bank interest rates were much higher, so it would return enough money for you to be able to spend the interest, plus chew into the capital base, and then you'd pass away at 75 or 80, and you'd get age pension the whole time. You wouldn't get a huge return, but it'd be a far higher return than what you're getting now. And so that made sense under those conditions. That stimulus, like I say, the stimulus was there where you went, I need to hoard a bit of cash, I need to get that together, I need to get my interest rate from my bank or from my term deposit provider or whatever. I need to get that and I spend down my capital base, and then I pass away a fair bit earlier than what I would in today's environment. Now, what I'd propose is that over the last 50 years, our economic conditions have changed significantly in terms of interest rates. Our average life cycle has changed significantly. As a rule, we retire earlier, and as a rule, we live much longer in retirement. And as a rule, we spend significantly more in retirement. So all of those stimuli have changed, and yet for many people, we're still like the monkeys in a basement where we're trying to hoard cash and trying to build up this stockpile of term deposits. We're preparing for a retirement that isn't there anymore. It doesn't exist.
It's completely different retirement.
We're beating the crap out of all these monkeys. We're responding to this stimulus in a way that if someone actually stopped and said, "What are you doing there? Why are you doing that?" We wouldn't actually be able to articulate why we're doing what we're doing.
No, look, I agree.
You didn't really know where I was going with the intermediary monkey story, did you?
It was a very long lead in, and I apologise to all the listeners for. Believe me, the story's actually a bit better with about 8 or 9 beers under your belt. So, depending on what time you're going to listen to this, then
you might have actually enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, no, you look. I think it's definitely a valid point. It's completely. It's not only a little bit different. It's completely different. So, when the age, and I've never fact checked this, but I've heard from many people in the industry.
I've just told a made up story about monkeys. So why would we fact check?
When the age pension was introduced, a male got it at age 65. A female, I believe, was 60 at the time. I've been told that the average age of death for a male who was 65 at that point in time was 67, 68. So, on average, at least the male was gone within 3 years of actually retiring at 65 or being eligible for or receiving the age pension. Interest rates were much higher, of course, in the past than they are now. So it's a completely different landscape. If you're looking at that, I mean, there effectively was no retirement planning. We didn't need to exist at that point in time. Why I think you're on to the, I think you are on the right vein here, Dallas, because what tells me that is I have clients now that are, and this is not just clients as in a couple, this is many clients who, we've been speaking about their retirement planning and things like that, and they'll be, in their 60s, and they'll say, oh, we won't be around then, when you show them the projections
through to age 90.
Through to age 90. Oh, we'll be long gone by then. But then you learn that one of their parents is still alive, or both their parents are still alive, and these are people in their 60s. So they've got at least one of their parents in their 90s is still alive. And you're saying, well, hang on a sec, what makes you think that you won't be around? Then,
if historically throughout time life expectancies have gone up and one of your parents is still alive, how can you reconcile those two things?
I mean, the best guess you've got is of to your longevity is obviously family history, and medical advancements. So, like, if you overlay medical advancements on family history, you would say you would outlive the 90-year-old parent on average. So, it's a completely different landscape. Now, the glass is half full I propose.
I'd say it's more than half full. You get
It's
to
more
live,
than half
you get to
full.
live,
You get to live
live
longer.
until you're 90.
The glass is certainly more than half full. It just presents obviously a challenge.
Yeah.
And the challenge is, how do we fund a 30 to 35 year retirement?
Yeah.
And whilst cash is certainly an important element to fall back on,
Yeah.
it's not going to get the job done.
No.
Like it is not there to actually
to fund a 35-year retirement.
it's
just not what,
it's just
not
not
what
going
that
to
asset
do
class
that.
is designed
It is
for.
not going to do that.
Yeah. And I think it's, I guess...
And the other thing too,
Yeah.
is there's been a shift in the last few years for the age pension
Yes.
where the part pension's actually been reduced significantly. On the 1st of January 2017,
Yep.
Anyone who was getting a $16,000 part pension, for example, during 2016, on the 1st of January 2017, that was halved to $8,000. So
Yep.
basically,
Yeah, you got a massive pay cut overnight.
a fundamental shift to the calculation of the part age pension was changed at that point in time, where
Yep.
every $1,000 of asset that you had over the assets test lower limit, the reduction factor doubled. So it reduced your part age pension by twice the amount.
And that's not a one-off
Now
thing.
there's been a recent shift. I just can't remember the date, but what it did, it was actually it actually made it made it easier to qualify for the full age pension if you had virtually no assets.
Yeah, but harder
So,
to get
but the reduction factor kicked in
and that's
if you were getting a part pension. So the writing's on the wall in terms of age pension.
Yeah.
It's something, I mean, we don't even factor that in. We treat that as a complete bonus. We look to achieve it if we can, but if we're looking at longer term
averages 10 years out from retirement.
and we're saying, okay, if your assets are running down in your later years of your retirement, we assume you may get some age pension at that point in time. We have no hope of actually quantifying that right now.
And that's a great point, is because that's if we talked in a previous podcast about the complexity of our modern financial system, and the thing about it is, it's like what the financial system that we live under is already complex enough without being delusional, if that makes sense. Without trying to approach it through, you have to actually see reality as it is. And this is my comment about the intermediary monkey thing is, there's already enough stimulus to respond to. There's already things that you need to take into account. You need to, tax planning and superannuation. There's all these different things, and Centrelink rules, and these things are changing all the time. You need to actually see those stimuli as what they as they really are, and form a long-term plan for your retirement based on the reality as it is, and based on the reality as you think it will be throughout your retirement. You just cannot afford to approach your retirement with a view of, well, I'll just sort of shut my eyes and treat everything as though it was the same as 50 years ago, because it just isn't. And that's kind of the point with, I think, a lot of things. It's human nature that it's often easier to just convince ourselves that everything's going to be okay than to face the reality and go, well, maybe it will be okay, maybe it won't, but I know that these are the facts now, and this is what I can do to put myself in the best possible position for my retirement. So I guess that's the point, is it might be a hard conversation, it might be a hard thought process to go, this is how things are now, this is how things are going in terms of legislation and all those sorts of things. I need to come up, maybe I don't get to live the retirement of my dreams. Maybe I don't get to, we all have super yachts and have our own private island. Maybe we have to. But I think facing reality, approaching retirement and that sort of thing is a far more constructive strategy than just blindly, like the monkeys in a basement, beating the crap out of each other, responding to a situation and stimulus that no longer exists and hasn't existed for generations, basically.
Great point to wrap up, Dallas. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Money Over 50 podcast with Money Over 50 financial advisors. We look forward to catching up again soon.